What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of nonsense. And I got to talk about it, y'all. Try to make some sense out of this nonsense. Now, I hate stories like this. I hate it because these are the type of stories that, number one, as I observe, I think could have been avoided. Two, these are stories that give fuel to the liberal media, to Democrats, to, the victimized population who thinks that there is this constant attack on them based off of them just being a certain race, sex, gender, whatever. And it further divides the relationship between police and the citizens. And it gives fuel to people that would throw out inflammatory statements like the one that LeBron James threw out a couple weeks ago, where he said that black men are being hunted every day that they walk outside of their houses. So when you have these cases appear, then that gives people the fuel to jump the gun before all the facts and data is in, and just decide, this is another reason for me to either act up, tear up my neighborhood, protest, or yell that the whole country is racist, instead of having the discernment and the wisdom to look at each case individually and judge them by. And so even as I look at the details of this latest incident between the Minneapolis police and this black man who ended up dying, I even say that what I observe from here, there are some thoughts, some things that I think could have avoided this. Some, I say, application of wisdom that could have been applied by these officers that could have changed the whole outcome of this. So without seeing all of the stuff that led up to this young man or this man being on the ground in handcuffs, I just am able to look at from the time that he's on the ground and people started filming to hearing about him dead. Now, I'm looking at this video, and this is what I mean by wisdom have to take place here. You got people recording videos of you. You already know the tensions are high, and there are entities out there that's looking for another reason to say police hate all black people and they're hunting black men. This is a liberal media's fantasy right here. You just had the controversy down, I believe, in Texas, where one guy that got shot over the house and the jogging and all of that stuff. And now you have these police that do something that I'm looking at and I'm going, how many ways that you could have handled this differently? Now, my boy, who I played college football, actually is reporting on this. His name is Jeff. He works for CBS. So let's listen and then I'll comment.
This morning, the FBI is looking into the death of a black man after he was stopped by police in Minneapolis. The attempted arrest was caught on camera, and we need to warn you here that it's very difficult to watch. The video of last night's confrontation shows a white police officer with his knee pinning down the neck of the suspect. And you can clearly hear the man saying, "I can't breathe," several times before an ambulance arrives. Jeff Pegues is following this story for us. Jeff, what are police doing about this?
Gail, good morning. Both of the officers involved in this incident are on paid administrative leave this morning, pending the results of the investigation.
Now, that was a couple of days ago. These officers have now been fired. Let's continue.
Police were responding to a report of a forgery. They say the suspect appeared to be under the influence and resisted arrest before suffering what they call medical distress. We want to warn you, what happened after that is difficult to watch.
Now, I don't know about you, but I've been arrested before. Any movement can be viewed as, resisting arrest. And see, that's where the shaky thing comes. If you getting arrested and you maybe getting kids, whoa, what's going on? Just that enough. Now, all of a sudden now you stomach down or something. So when I talk to young black men and how I coach them dealing with the police and situations like that, how to de-escalate, not escalate problems. Conflict resolution. If you feel you're being treated unjustly, Wait till your day in court to verbalize it. But don't start, even the slightest movement can be interpreted as this guy is resisting arrest. Now, it goes from something that could have just been, we're going to handcuff you, talk to you, let you go, or just take you to jail and you can go to court, to now all of a sudden it escalates into you stomach down. Now, I know how these handcuffs feel when they on you. They make sure they tight. You don't have a lot of wiggle room. Nonetheless, they got you on your stomach. Once you're on your stomach with handcuffs on, there's not much you can do when it comes down to resisting arrest. So now the question becomes, if you got the man subdued, then why keep applying this pressure? So from what I hear, you can't see these two because of the car, but I hear two of them was on his back. Then the one guy in the video had his knee in his neck. And then there was one officer trying to keep the people back. Let's continue.
Please, I can't breathe. This 10-minute video posted to Facebook overnight shows Minneapolis police officers holding down a man. One officer uses his knee to pin the man's neck down. I can breathe. Several times during the arrest, the man tells officers that he's struggling to breathe and begs for some relief. Please. I can't breathe, officer.
Now, I hate to say this, y'all. I mean, I support my police. I support police, armed forces. These guys, they didn't handle this right. I mean, they just handled it completely, from what I can gather, just horribly. No wisdom. The man's stomach down, hands behind his back. He's saying, I can't breathe. You have people filming you, and you have this man's face on the concrete with your knee in his back, or in his neck rather. Just alone, his face on that concrete is a problem. But secondly, I see the cop car right there. So now the man is on his back. Why not get him up and put him in the back of the cruiser? Why are you keeping him on the ground for 10 minutes? Waiting on what? What are you waiting on? If you arrested the man, put him in the car. But for whatever reason, they decide it's better for us to just stay here with our knee in this man's back.
Some people who gathered at the scene try to help.
That's bullshit, bro. That's bullshit, bro. You stopping his breathing right there, bro.
But as officers work to keep onlookers back, the man on the ground appears to move less and less.
Which should have been your first indicator. You're sitting here with cameras all on you. The man goes from saying, I can't breathe, to not saying anything. Once people stop talking and stop moving, that should send off an alarm. Maybe my method of subduing this person is a little too much. Maybe it's a little too much. But for whatever reason, they just continue with this same amount of pressure, as if the man can't, like, if they stop, he's going to jump up and break the handcuffs off and something like that. You have tasers. You have all types of ways to make sure that doesn't happen, versus this type of pressure on top of this guy. Let's continue.
5 minutes into the video, the man seems to be motionless, and the police officer's knee is still on his neck.
He's not moving.
7 minutes into the video, an ambulance arrives. When an EMT does the first pulse check, officers still have the man pinned. And when he's loaded onto the ambulance, his hands are still cuffed.
I just killed that man.
Police explained what led up to the incident in an overnight news conference.
After he got out, he physically resisted officers. Officers were able to get the suspect into handcuffs, and officers noticed that the male was going into medical distress. Officers called for an ambulance. He was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center, where he died a short time later.
Now, the problem with that is he didn't start off in medical distress. For 10 minutes, as people were filming, the man started off talking. I didn't hear him say, my heart hurts, or I'm not, he was just simply saying, I can't breathe because of y'all on top of me like this. So what happened to make him go into medical distress? And then after they show up, you're still subduing this guy with your knee in his neck, on his back. These officers were not wise. These are the type of officers that I say, dude, situational awareness. Be aware of what's going on around you, how people will perceive this, not to mention, how is this to the person that I just arrested? I shouldn't arrest this man and he's in cuffs and end up dead after he was in cuffs. That's a problem. These are those cases where it's hard to defend. And because people aren't going to look at these as one case by case, there are those people out there that want to lump every police officer into this category right here as just being completely unwise and ignorant and doing something real stupid. And it wasn't just 1, 2, 3, it was 4 of them. The guy keeping the people back probably should have said, dude, get up off of him. You see all these people, they get mad. The guy ain't moving no more. Who was the person stopping to look at this person's movement, his face, everything? Because me being in mixed martial arts, I know what a person looks like when they're knocked out or when they're choking or when they go to sleep. There's that look in their face like, this dude's unconscious. Get up off him. But they didn't do that. They kept it going. And of course, it resulted in this man dying. Now, I don't know how you can even explain that from what I can see. Because it's one thing if the cameras would have started rolling when the man was already dead. And we got to wonder, how did that happen? But we just watched 10 minutes of this guy pretty much just being choked to death. And like I said, I didn't see a lot of wiggling and moving while he was on the ground. So whatever led to that, I don't know. But from what I watched, I'm thinking, does that type of pressure need to be applied? And so many other things could have been done to avoid this, that now all of a sudden it's going to turn into a lot of finger pointing and race baiting and all that stuff. And when I look at people's reaction right now, they're starting to protest down there in Minneapolis. People don't look at these situations logically when they're mad. They just want immediate justice. That's where you get your angry mobs saying things like, we want these men indicted right now or charges. And I'm going, wait. Let them do an investigation so that it ain't sloppy and allow them to get off if they're guilty. Find out, okay, we got our ducks in a row. Now we're going to go ahead and bring charges. But just to say that the prosecutor immediately looks at it and says, oh yeah, they're guilty. I don't need to know anything else. Let's go ahead and bring murder charges on them. Then find out something that we didn't notice in the video took place. You got to wait until, but I understand when you see stuff like this, it can make people pretty upset, especially if you know this guy or he's a family member. You want to see immediate justice. So these are those cases where I go, I don't know if I could defend that one. I can't, matter of fact, as of now, unless I'm not seeing something, which I'm willing to wait for the evidence. I'm not one of those people who just, impulsively go off. But as of now, watching this video, I'm going, dude, y'all flub that up big time. Probably that's why all 4 of them are fired. But anyway, it is what it is. So that's my take on it. You've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Check out Extreme Tees, my sponsor. If you like the products, click on something, the link below, and put Kevin in a promo code. You get a 20% discount. Make sure you are still subscribed and your notifications are set to all. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with the links below. And if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link down there as well. God bless.